All right. Well, here we go. Welcome to Leadership Academy #1. How's everybody doing? All right. Awesome. That's the energy I like to see. Thank you for being here. And I'm fired up for the first 2 hours of Leadership Academy 1 out of 10, plus our summer kickoff. It feels like yesterday we were kicking off the summer, and here we are. School has begun. I had Meet the Teacher Day with both of my kiddos today, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm fired up to be able to bring this to you guys. We've got a lot of awesome speakers on the agenda. Let's kick things off. First off, I want to let you guys know I passed out a lot of copies, but one of the copies I did not pass out was this one. It's called the Leadership Academy Questionnaire. You should have gotten this. It's SC2. If you got it and you filled it out and gave it to your manager, awesome. Thank you. If you didn't get it, I need you to go ahead and raise your hand. Sam's going to be walking around, give you one of these. I want it filled out and given back to me before you leave today, but I do need one of those for everybody that's going to participate in Leadership Academy. And within the next week, I'll be setting up my first 20-minute laser focus call with each of you so we can talk about your goals and everything like that. Yes, one of the benefits of being in Leadership Academy is you get a lot more exposure to the DVM, right? The guy that runs the whole place. So that's one of the beautiful things. And I know that at this point, a lot of you have a lot of questions right now, right? You know, you're still trying to figure out what double D stands for, and you're not exactly sure what CPO is, and that's totally fine. But welcome to the leadership group, right? We'll fix those things later. But in all honesty, right, when I talk about questions, a lot of you are thinking right now, hey, what's my future with Vector, right? And being invited to this meeting is a really big deal. All right, so I want to make sure you guys understand that in this business, at this point, it's anything is possible, and you don't have to choose, right? That's one of the beautiful parts. I love this room because this is where we're able to target our future assistant managers. This is where I'm going to find my future Dom, right? Because I got to replace Bailey, or Bailey can't get promoted. This is where I'm going to find my future branch managers, my future district managers. Some of you are in here right now, and you don't even think that you're going to run an office. You don't even think that you're going to be a manager, and that's awesome because I already know you will. All right, so here's the deal. You're going to run a business. You're going to run an office, and we're fired up for you. Now, the good thing is we don't have to make a full commitment until January, right? That's a beautiful thing. But what do you have to lose? And so for my opening comments before we bring up Bailey, I really want to talk a little bit about what the heck Leadership Academy is, why we're here, what we're looking to gain from it, and what we're going to get out of it. Does that sound fair? First of all, a lot of you, raise your hand if you're at SC2. If you're at SC2, okay, cool. So you probably went to the Leadership Academy breakout. If you were not at SC2, hey, no big deal. And, you haven't really missed anything, maybe the introduction to Leadership Academy. But I want to go back a few weeks to SC2. That was 2 weeks ago, right? And I just want to remember what happened at our breakout, right? First off, we had Brian Carter, and he talked about Leadership Academy, and he talked about the benefits of it. He talked about how all of our top FSMs and CSPs and people that you see making half baby and, selling hundreds of thousands a year, guess where they all got their start with Vector? They got started in Leadership Academy, didn't they? Okay, and that's what he talked about, right? I remember having the message by John, and John just ripping it up, a whole new version of John. Like, at the end, I was blown away. Most of the managers walked away, and they were like, where's John? We're missing him, right? Because the version of John that we had last year that was giving messages versus what you talked about at that meeting, a whole year changed, and it was phenomenal, right? So I love that, and I think about that opportunity for you as well. Another big thing that I think is important for us to look back at is we talked about what Leadership Academy was. So we're going to go through this packet right now. Go ahead and grab this out. Basically, it says at the top, one Thursday every month, okay? And it's going to be for 2 hours. I'm going to record them. They're going to get uploaded, right? And then we'll be able to see that you've viewed it, all right? The beautiful thing is if you're in person, hey, fantastic, right? Now you're actually getting the content as soon as you can, and you're able to still have the recording as backup to re-listen to and relearn. For those of you that might have a conflict one time, hey, no big deal, right? You go ahead and watch the recording. But my rule is that if you're going to watch the recording, it needs to be done within 24 to 48 hours of when we normally had the meeting. Otherwise, right, it gets put off and put under other piles of things, and it never gets done. Cool? So let's go through the packet. It says Skills for Life Training, right? This is perfect for the following types of people. Assistant manager candidates. If you're an AMIT, right, or just recently promoted AM, fantastic. Congratulations. That's a really good start. And I'll tell you that that's the first step into being able to have higher levels of accountability, right, and being able to have a little bit more consistency, okay? If you're an assistant manager this coming fall, okay, what I want you to write down is 3 standards for yourself. And I'm going to be very tough on these standards as a division manager. And I'm going to be working through your DMs. I'm going to be working through your offices. And even if you're not an AMIT, these would be great things if you're considering selling during the fall. All right. Number 1, you can jot down, my AMs know it, is 100 calls a week. 100 calls a week. And I don't, it doesn't matter what your sales goal is, right? find a way to make 100 calls a week. Now, how you get that done is entirely up to you, right? I like to say 5 one-hour phone jams, but be consistent with that, right? The second thing should be a byproduct of your 100 calls, and that's 5+ demos ahead. I'm not saying you got to complete 5 in a week. I get it. People reschedule. People no-show, right? Dogs run away. People get sick, right? People die, whatever the excuses we always hear, right? I'm just kidding. That's not an excuse normally. But here's the deal. Things happen. So I get it that sometimes you just have a bad week, but you should never show up at a meeting with any less than what? 5 demos ahead, ever. How can you say that you're serious about this business as a leader if you don't have 5 demos ahead of you at all times? Does that make sense? I'm not saying 5 for tomorrow. I'm just saying 5 ahead, right? And get to the point where you always have demos ahead. Easiest way to quit this job is to not have demos, okay? Because pretty soon you start to worry about your paycheck. You start to question your skill set and everything else. Make sense? Okay, cool. Third and final standard that we have for ourselves, right, is making sure that you're never a goose egg, no matter what. Now, obviously, we want to see you sell $1,000. And my philosophy is if you're in this room right now and you do 5 demos a week, you're probably going to sell about how much? $1,000, right? Maybe more, honestly, for a lot of you. But the reality is that if you're a part of this group, we need you to set the tone. We need you to set the bar. We need you to set the standard. You guys are the leaders now. And so as much as this is a congratulations, welcome to the new group, this is also responsibility, isn't it? Right? With greater success comes greater responsibility, which means I need you guys to get serious about upholding these standards. Because if you don't, what do other reps think? Right? Oh, this assistant manager, well, if they're not selling, then I don't need to sell. Right? They immediately start to give themselves permission. I learned early on that in a business, people that are under you will always perform at half of what you perform at, right? So if you're 5 minutes late, they think it's cool to be 10 minutes late on a bad side, right? And on the opposite side of that, hey, guess what? If you are selling 1,000 a week, then they think it's okay to sell 500 a week. Does that make sense? So we've got to level up our standards, and that's what this group's all about. The second thing is branch manager candidates. Here's the cool thing about running a branch, right? The best experience you'll ever get. The only way to fail running a branch is to quit. That is it. If you don't quit, you succeed as a branch manager. Fair enough? So here's the deal. What do you have to lose? Every year, it gets more and more affordable to run an office. Every year, right? We have better and better training. We learn from what we did last year. Our reps sell more, right? They take advantage of that. Plus, we are 2 months away from learning what next year's trip is going to be. Actually, I think we're like 6 weeks away, right? You're fired up to learn what next year's trip is, right? Who's a little bit jealous that you're like, you got in a little too late to go to Cayman Islands? Anybody like kind of bummed on that? You're like, I wish you could have gone. Well, we learned next year's trip, and I promise you, it'll be just as cool, if not better than Cayman Islands for sure. Cool? We have a lot of really cool destinations, and we learn about that at SLC. Cool. The next one on here is new district managers, right? This is phenomenal for those people. Well, here's the deal. When you open up a district office, our company gives you $20,000 in startup money for the first 12 months. It's incredible, right? So I love that we have individuals in here right now that aren't even aware of it yet, but you're going to run a district office. And you know what's beautiful about it? If you work a district office for 2 to 3 years, you can save more money than the average American will save in 10 years, right? Or sometimes longer. Okay, there are district managers that literally make a 6-figure income in their first 8 months right out of college. Okay, pretty incredible, right? I know I was one of them, right? In my first 8 months, our office did $440,000. I saved $100,000, or not saved, sorry. I earned over $100,000 in my first 8 months out of college with an architecture degree in a sales company. Okay, why? Because I got really good at the basics. That's what's cool about this business, right? My summer that I did, we did great. We finished at $440,000, but we were number 5. And you know what? Number 3 was a girl named Lauren Bean. She didn't even start until November. I'd been in the business for 3.5 years. She had been in the business for like 6 months. And her office beat me, right? Her office beat our office. I was so frustrated about that. Okay. So you might be the newbie here and you're like, dude, I've never run a branch and I've never been really an assistant and I'm not even certain that I can run a business. Well, I am. Go through our training program the next 8 months and you can open up your own office, right? We're looking for district managers all over the place in the state and other areas too. Cool. And the last one on here says all current managers. Why? Because you're never too good to learn, right? You're never too good to learn. And our current managers, they need refreshers. Who knows somebody that works in the medical field? Anybody know somebody in the medical field? How often do people in the medical field have to retrain themselves? Every year. Who knows somebody that's a teacher? Who knows somebody in the education world? Okay, guess what? How often do they have to go through active training? Yeah, they have to take tests yearly. They have to prove themselves. My mom for 36 years was a teacher. She was head of like all of, special needs in 5th grade for the entire school. 36 years. And she still had to take the same test year after year to prove that she was still a legit teacher, right? So here's the deal. You're never too good to relearn. You're never too good to have more experience, right, and to gain more skills. Cool? So realize that this is good for all of those types of people. And what I love is that we're looking for leaders. We're looking for champions, and this is where we're going to find them. So what it takes to be a Vector manager, let's go through that. Number one, it takes 100% attendance to what? Right? Events, Leadership Academy, every single one you need to be at. Conflicts must be made up by watching the recording, and then, right, you can write next to that in your packet. I need you to write down emailed notes to your DM and your DVM. So if you are not at one of these meetings, I have a spreadsheet. I'm keeping attendance, right? So make sure that you are signed in over there on the table today, all right? And just realize that if you are not here, then we're going to look at that and say, all right, when did you watch the recording? The way we know you watched it is by your notes that you emailed. Make sense? All right, cool. Next thing, it says event attendance, right? Olean. So let's talk a little bit about Olean. All of you got another document in here. It looks like this, so grab it out. I want to do a little bit of recognition right now. If you are currently signed up for Olean this year, please go ahead and stand up. And if you are currently signed up for the Olean trip, please go ahead and stand up. So this is exciting. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Am I missing anybody? 7. So excited about that. Bailey, we'll start with you. What are you most fired up for with Olean?
Olean. Niagara Falls, really, but just seeing how Cutco made.
All right. Awesome.
Put all of the Snapchats that I got last year. And like, that makes sense. That's awesome. So,
Cool. So meeting the employees and having that experience. Great. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Good. AJ, how about for you?
To find out more about the business.
Okay. Learn more about Cutco. Learn more about the business. Yeah. I went to Olean purely just for the trip. I was like, I just want to travel and see Niagara Falls. And my manager's like, well, you have to be interested in running branches. Like, guess I'm interested. And he's like, all right. And then when I went, totally different understanding. And then I came back and I was like, there's no way I'm not running a branch, right? So sometimes you see an event like that to give you more confidence. Good. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Taylor?
Krista talks a lot about the unconventional use tape. She says it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
To see what Cutco goes through, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, for sure. It's actually kind of disgusting, like all the stories and things like that. So
she showed me some of the Snapchats that she had from last year, and
Yeah.
I was like, how does that happen?
it's awesome. Cool. Love it. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Isaac?
Most excited about one, Niagara Falls. I think it's gonna be freaking awesome, and I also want to see like the pink, purple, and blue ultimate sets in the office.
Cool. And meeting the CEO, and there's a push competition. If you're in the top whatever, you get a photo with the CEO in his office with some of those sets in the background. So pretty cool for sure, and glad you're fired up about Niagara Falls. That's one of the 7 wonders of the world. Beautiful. Good. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Ayame?
Learning about long-term opportunities.
Long-term opportunities and going big with Cutco. All right. Good. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Good. Riley?
I'm most excited about meeting the CEO and also Niagara Falls, but because like I don't really travel because I'm scared of heights, so the plane ride should be interesting.
All right. Nice. All right. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Sam?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Niagara Falls, but I'm also really scared of heights.
Okay.
So I was gripping the plane the entire time, but it's all right.
Cool.
And seeing all the workers, talking to them, seeing the factory, just getting to meet everybody.
Fantastic. Good. One clap. 1, 2, 3. All right. Good. Well, here's the deal. If you're not signed up, let's make an action step list, right? Number 1 rule is get what? Signed up. Get signed up today. Here's the deal. What do you have to lose? So let's talk about the details, right? Event details. You've got the dates, the 25th through the 28th. We fly you. We pay for everything, by the way, okay? So none of this is out of pocket unless you like bring a bag or something like that, but we fly you, right? So here's the deal. On the 25th, you fly from here, that's a Thursday, up to Buffalo, New York. We transport you out to Olean, and they have something called Good Times. It's an awesome event center, and we hang out. You socialize and network with the best of the best in every leadership academy in the Southwest region. Literally, it's anybody from Arizona all the way over to Alabama. You meet some of the best reps, the best future CSPs, FSM candidates, management candidates, and everything, right? You also have the entire DVM team there. You also have some sponsored DMs that are there and mega district leaders, and you also have the region manager, okay? So all of us are hanging out, networking, socializing. Think about getting the numbers from those types of people and what that can do for your future, right? Pretty cool. The second thing is on Friday, you go ahead and visit the factory. It's an all-day event. Okay, we're dressed to the freaking nines, right? We show up in tour buses. We take over the factory. They walk us in these little groups around, and we can see different photos. It's a beautiful thing. Then after that, right, we're able to go ahead and have lunch at the factory. After lunch, we continue to tour the other building in the factory, right? There's little freebies and giveaways. You can buy Cutco at cheaper discounts than I can even buy Cutco at when you're at the factory. And if you have any Cutco that needs replacement, because Bailey does a really good job of breaking my Fisherman Solution every month, we'll bring those in our suitcases, save the money on shipping, and then they'll ship it back to us, which is always a blast. Cool. So anyway, the next big thing, right, that's on here is we eat dinner that night at another event center that's in Olean, and we actually have a push competition to win the official K-Bar knife. So I want to share that with you real quick. If you haven't checked this out, this is the official K-Bar. You cannot buy these. You can only win these, and this is the actual kind that the military gets, and it's engraved on the back. It says, whatever year push winner, right? Top 7 in sales win one of these every single year. And the beautiful thing, you don't even have to be committed to running an office, just interested, right? We want every one of you there. And you know what? If you're not sure about your future with Cutco, this is the best trip that you could possibly go on. Make it happen, right? And make sure that you go. And we've had plenty of people go and then end up doing something different. Sometimes something different than Vector in general, but oftentimes just something different in Vector, right? Sometimes like top-level CSP, top-level FSM. But if you never give yourself a shot to go to Olean, you really are missing out. Cool? Last thing we do is on Saturday, you can see there it says we bus you up Friday night up to Olean. We actually stay at a hotel that's 2 blocks away from Niagara Falls. And once we get to Niagara Falls, we have half-a-day conference on Saturday morning. All the food's provided, lunch, right, breakfast, everything. Then we change, and there's a Starbucks there. Everybody walks around. We go out to Niagara Falls, take some awesome photos. I'm really fired up because in previous years, we didn't even go until November, a couple weeks later. This time we're going in October. It's going to be a lot warmer, and it's going to be a lot more fun up there too. After that, we go ahead and we feed you dinner. If you're a district manager candidate, you go out to a very fancy steak dinner with Lloyd Reagan, and then after that, we go ahead and hang out for the night. Most people don't sleep because we have our buses leaving at like 4 a.m. Easter time, which is like, ridiculous, right? Like 5 a.m. here to make it back. But you get back middle of the day Sunday, do all your homework on Sunday night, and go back to school. We do have excuse letters for you if you're a student, okay? And they're very, very good. So let's make sure that we get you signed up, all right? Now let's talk about how we register, right? You go on Vector Connect and you go ahead and sign up. All you've got to be at, I want to make this clear, is how much in sales right now? No. Look at the bottom. To sign up, all you've got to be at is what? $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Oh, I'm not qualified. Yeah, you are. You're here now, right? I need signups today. Cool? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Every year, this trip gets more and more packed, and we end up running out of spots. So the sooner you sign up, the sooner you can guarantee yourself a spot there, okay? Now realize this. When you get signed up, right, registrants must then qualify and approve. You do need to be over 6,000 in sales to go, and you have to be over $600 in startup to go, okay? Now, the cool thing is a lot of you just made some big freaking checks. So you can just cut a check, right? Go ahead and give that to your manager. We'll send it up there. It'll show up at the bottom of your commission statement, and that number will continue to grow. So we're going to do a little bit of recognition with savings right now and a little bit of a count up, but I want to make sure you guys know about that. Realize we have to find final approvals probably by the end of September, all right? And the way it works is it's a $1,500 trip. $750 is paid for by the region. The other $750 is paid for by you. 2 ways to pay. 1, cash. We'll go ahead and take the next 10 weeks or so, and we'll break it down into charges of $750 total, right? So that's about $75 a week. Now, that might sound like a lot to you, but here's the deal. If you're making 30% right now, $75 is one average sale. It's a piece order. Sell a piece order, and you're covering that amount. Does that make sense? Now, I would never want you to pay $750 to go because that sucks. That's the most expensive way to pay. So your other option is to sell a Homemaker Plus 8 without commission, or you can sell a Galley Plus 6 on a trade-in without commission, or you can do an Essentials Plus 5 with free stuff. Cool? Now, the Essentials Plus 5 or Galley on the trade-in will pay for half, or in other words, $375, right? And the Homemaker will pay for the full amount, $750. You can sell 2 of the halves, right, to pay for the full or whatever, and you have until Christmas to sell this. Okay? The moment you sell it, we enter it online. Client gets it shipped normally. You can still give free stuff. They can still do payment plans just like a normal order. Makes no difference to the customer. But instead of giving you the CPO or the commission on it, you go ahead and just, right, roll over the order. And that covers $750. There is no Homemaker that you can sell that you will make a commission of $750, just to be clear. I don't care what commission level you're at, right? Okay, so realize that is a much better deal than paying in cash, okay? So here's the deal. Get signed up. The moment you do, you'll start to see charges add up. As long as you're selling, you're paying down those charges, and the moment you sell your Homemaker, any charges you pay down, they take that money, throw it directly into startup, right? The other beautiful thing is they remove any future charges. Cool? Now, the charges would be done by the trip. So after that, right, you'd be back to normal commissions and things like that. But all of you should work on selling that Homemaker. Who's already, so right now what I want you to do is I want you to think about on this sheet of paper, maybe on the back, who are 5 people that you could target to sponsor you for Olean. Okay? Who are 5 people you can target? Who are your best 5? Yeah, Claire.
Question. So like sometimes people want to customize like their sets.
Yep.
If they're doing switch on splashes or choose next, is that not?
Yeah, probably not. We've had that problem before too, where it's like, oh, they wanted this signature. Dang, I guess my next one, right? We've also had the problem where people are like, oh, I just want some quick money now, and I've got 4 months. I'll sell the homemaker later. Here's my rule, right? Get it done as soon as possible. Get it out of the way. You don't want to be stressing about that, especially during the holidays. There's enough to stress out about already. Does that make sense? So just get it done and knocked out for sure. So cool. All right. So any questions on how to register, how to get approved?
No.
You're good on that. All right, awesome. So last couple things on here, right? It says Olean trip. I wanted to promote that. Year-end banquet, okay? That happens in early January, right? In Houston, Texas. That's where the entire region comes together. That's where you see the bonus checks being awarded and silver cups and swords and daggers, right? It's pretty freaking crazy. So no matter what, right? No matter what you're, like, even if you're not opening an office, you want to be at year-end banquet. That's also where you get promoted for branches and districts, right? And that's where we do a ton of recognition. After that, we have the region summer kickoff sometime in April in Austin, Texas. We pay for that completely, and then you're off to the races. So let's look at the last few things on here. It says consistency with attitude, work ethic, and what? Sales. Let's try that one again. And what? Sales. There we go. And then the 3 S's that we really look for. We look for consistency with skills, right? Your interviewing skills, your ability to recruit PRs, and your ability to manage reps. That's it. Running this business is really as simple as being a rep, right? In training, we teach you to what? Read, cut, and smile, right? Well, as a manager, really what it comes down to is be really good at interviewing, be really good at getting PRs, and be really good at managing reps. And that's it. And if you can do that, you can run your own branch. You can run your own district. You can be successful and move up in this company, right? Not bad. Second thing is sales. We want to see consistency and all of you hitting Dirty 30. Can you imagine what this entire room looks like financially when we all sell at least 10K in the next 4 months? That's exciting for me, right? I want to know what happens when we sell 15, 20. Realize that our top 20% are best of the best. You're in this room right now, and you're the future of the fastest growing division of the company. Third one on there is savings, building wealth, savings habits, investing in your business, personal savings needed, right? We look for branch managers to have anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000, depending on their territory assignment, and district managers have anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000, depending on their territory. So again, the more money, the better. One thing I'll have you write down or just remember is this: cash equals confidence. Cash equals what? Confidence. Those of you who want to become more confident with taking risks in life, then save up a lot of cash. It's really easy, right, to make decisions like that when you got a bunch of money in the bank, right? But when you don't and you're worried about how you're going to pay your bills, it's tough to make the decision to work this job versus an hourly one, right? Or take, right, this job as a priority over something else that might make you a little bit of side cash, okay? When you got like $1,000 saved, man, you're not worried about a thing, right? And my philosophy with money is out of sight, out of mind. Even at 32, if I have money in my hands, I will spend it, right? It is so easy to do, okay? But if I don't have any cash, I save the money, right? So keep that in mind. It's all about having cash as confidence and making sure that's in a Vector savings account. Cool. Required personal growth meetings or personal growth readings you can look over. The meeting agenda, you'll see what that looks like. All of the calendar dates and all the topics are in there as well before we jump into this thing. So I hope that was helpful, give you an overview of it. And before we wrap up, I want to do a little bit of savings. So every event that you come to, every Leadership Academy, you want to have the habit of contributing towards savings. I don't care if you're running an office or not, right? My rule is that I want this division to be known as the wealthiest division in the company. I want this division to know that if you're an assistant manager, you've got $1,000 saved just in case. You're planning to run an office? I don't know, maybe, but I got $1,000 saved, right? Wouldn't that feel great? So talk to your manager about getting on AMPay, okay? And talk to, right, your bank account about contributing a check and writing it towards Vector, right, and being able to help out with that. Sound fair? So we want everybody to be able to save. So if you have anything in Vector Savings right now, please go ahead and stand up. If you have anything in a Vector Savings account, I want to do a little bit of recognition from this. And thank you guys for those of you who know. If you don't know, you're like, I don't even know, right? But here's the deal. Getting some money in there is not a bad idea. So let's go ahead and stay standing if you're over $100 in Vector Startup right now. Anybody over 100? Can I get a what? I like it. Let's go to 200. 200 in savings right now with Vector. 200 bucks. All right. Can I get a what? All right. Let's go up to $300. $300 saved with Vector right now. By the way, this is only money that is in a Vector account, right? If it's not in a Vector account, doesn't count. Okay. So keep that in mind. And I realize that we've had people before. They're like, I got $5,000 in the savings account. Cool. When are you going to put some in a Vector account? By the way, well, I want interest off of it. Really? The interest you're going to make off of 8 months on $1,000? Okay, I'll give you the $4. Okay, I'll give you the $8. If that's what you need to be able to protect that cash, right? So let's go higher, baby. 500 and above.
Higher, baby.
Higher, baby. Let's go to 600 and above. 600 and above in a Vector account. All right, 600 and above. Let's give these guys a round of applause. All of them qualify to go to Olean at this point officially. Let's get higher, babies. 800 and above. Stay standing. Higher, baby. All right. Okay. Let's go to $1,000. 1,000 and above. All right. Still standing. We got some people following, but it's going to be exciting. Let's go to $1,200 and above. All right. Can I get a what? By the way, this is over $1,000. Talk to any other 18, 19, or 20-year-old right now with their company, right? And ask them if their companies have been asked them about savings. And then ask them, right, if that company with that savings program, right, actually contributes and helps out. I don't know. Pretty cool. So we're at $1,200. Let's go to $1,500. Can I get a what?
Higher,
All right, a lot of OKC leadership there. Let's go to $2,000 and above. All right, let's go to $3,000 and above. $3,000 and above. We got our veterans, by the way. Look at this. And some of you never know this, and I am the first to tell you that I have no problem talking about money here because it doesn't matter how much money we make. It doesn't matter how much money we save. Who always gets the better deal? Customer always wins, right? This is pretty exciting. I'm going to turn around our recording right now. So we got our higher babies going on all over $3,000 in startup. Let's talk about higher babies, 3,500 above. What do we got? All right, got a couple people sitting. Bryn, what are you at right now?
Like 3,300.
3,300. One clap for Bryn. 1, 2, 3. Bailey, what are you at? 3,300. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. $4,000. Okay, if higher baby, $5,000. Some of them are around there. Before you sit down, John, how much do you have? 24 and 5. Not even sure. By the way, it's not even one account either. It's like 5 or 6 accounts. It's just all these different withholdings that he has for himself. What are you at right now? $4,800. Pretty exciting, and continuing to save. Man, that's going to earn you a great top territory as a branch manager. So let's give all of our savings leaders a big round of applause. Thank you very much, and we're fired up for you. All right. So I'm going to bring up Bailey right now as we jump into our content, and I'm not going to be doing all of the teaching. What I love about Leadership Academy is that we're at a point now as a division where we've got enough other leaders around us that they can do a lot of the teaching as well. I do want to let you guys know, though, that you do have a document that looks like this. It has branch profitability margins, so that's a great thing to look over for yourself, look over with your family. You also have another document before Bailey comes up that's going to be looking like this, and it says, right, making sure that you have it, having it all for the fall. And this has a lot to do with how to take on Leadership Academy properly and how to go about things. This was developed by Wes Frank, but Bailey's going to be reviewing it with you. And then we'll get into the nuts and bolts and the teaching of this. Realize this, guys, if you're not sure on running an office, this is exactly where you should be. If you're completely against running an office, this is exactly where you should be, okay? Does that make sense? By the way, if you're the person right now that you're like, there's no way I want that responsibility, excellent. This is exactly where you should be, okay? Because I'll tell you that by being involved in a group of people that are just as good, if not better than you, it's only going to help you sell more. It's only going to help you save more. It's only going to help you develop better skills. Does that make sense? None of that is bad. The worst thing that happens is a meeting like this once a month, which is not a big commitment, okay? I used to have to do it, right, once every 2 weeks, and I had to drive up to Denver. Okay, so that was ridiculous. It was a 7-hour drive, okay, and the meeting was 7 hours long, right? And I'm sorry, it wasn't once every 2 weeks. It was once a month. But the point was, left at 4 a.m., did the meeting, drove back home, got home at 1, next day did all my homework, went back to school, okay? And that was just so I could go to a freaking Niagara Falls. I didn't even want to run an office, right? But I did it anyway. Does that make sense? So go anyway. You're in the right spot. And I'll tell you, the worst thing that happens is you become a better version of you. Worst thing that happens is you learn a lot, right? And you're able to take to the next level. All of that's worth it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So let's make sure we rock this thing out. Does that sound fair? All right, so we're going to bring up Bailey right now. Bailey's going to talk about how to really prepare. Bailey's already gone through a full year of Leadership Academy. That's what made him into such an incredible dom for this summer. Our pilot office breaking the division record. We broke also the August record. We've also broke the new business record. And we just finished as the #1 office in the region in new business for the week, over 27 grand. Okay, and we also finished as the number 2 office overall, less than $5,000 away from number 1. So this is an individual who's learned a ton. That was all while I was out of town on a family vacay. So I promise you, if there's anybody to teach you how to go through the next 8 months properly, it's definitely Bailey Hellman. So let's give him a big round of applause. Come on, my friend.
Perfect. Anybody learned something so far yet? Yeah, right? So, did pass out this document that they saw right here. So a couple things that I'm just going to go over is preparing you guys what it looks like for the fall and what it looks like for the spring as well. 2019 starts now. And so a lot of you are getting ready to be students back in school and getting ready to get good grades. Well, you should definitely write this down. Be a student for Vector. Just like Nick said, hashtag Vector for college. How many of you guys like college? Or school, or yeah, right? It's like, I like it for the parties and all of the things that go on. Yeah, well, yeah. I like it for the knowledge, but not for the tests and everything. Well, in a business like this, you're not only getting the knowledge that you want, you're getting the money for what you put in. Everything that you get better for you, that you put into it, you're going to make more money. You're going to be able to help more people and just adding on those layers. So, the first key that it says right down here is increase communication with your manager. This doesn't just have to be your manager in your office. Yes, increase that and do PCs with them, talking with them every day, but reach out. The one thing that John did this past, fall and spring is he reached out to, how many was it? I think you said like every week you were talking to the brand new, the number 1 district or the number 1 branch office.
I went through all the top branches and some of the top districts, and I just messaged them on Facebook. I was like, hey, can I get a 30 or 45-minute phone call with them? All of them said yes, and they recorded the call so I could go back and listen to them. They're all super nice. Most of them are super nice.
Yeah.
And they just gave me super great tips on all of them.
Absolutely. So being a student, don't be afraid to reach out. In a business like this, you want to surround yourself with the best people. You want to ask those questions. So the more communication you have, the more that we can help you to succeed. The more questions that you ask. There is never a stupid question. Well, I rephrase that. There are sometimes a stupid question. But, asking questions is not a bad thing. Getting good at asking questions and the right questions. Higher quality question equals a higher quality answer for you. What are you really wanting to take away from it? All of our DMs have been trained the right way to open up their office. All of them are being very successful. All of them are having money. All of them are doing the right thing. So are you spending time with them? Love is spelled Time. Well, are you spending time with them so you're going to be gaining those experiences and those skills to help you to grow? Like it says, seeking for help. What I love most about Britton is he's always posting onto our Snapchat group, me just bought a new book or got the next free book, started my next book. How many books are you going to read from now until you open up in the summer to really prepare yourself? A couple books I'm reading right now is The One Thing. What is your one thing that you're doing? It's kind of like this. What's your one thing that you're going to do right now to prepare yourself? By the way, you do that for the next month. Well, you do another one thing that you want to get better at next month. You have a total of 8 months of one new thing that you're going to get better at and develop. You're going to go into the summer really strong and knowing everything. And the other book is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Or shit, whatever it is. Yeah. So it's a really great book as well. I'm only like chapter 2. I read it every morning when I'm on the toilet. But, making that time, it's that structure, going into it. So whatever it is, what's your one thing? What are the things that you're doing right now in the next 8 months to prepare you for what's going to happen? The fall and the summer and the spring, it's practice. You practice how you perform. The summer is where we perform. It's where we do 80% of our business. It's where all of you guys are going to be making the majority of your guys' money. So are you putting in the effort and the practice time right now to gain the experience to where you're going to go out and be the best performing person out there? For me, I'm going to go win a silver cup as a brand new district manager. And right now I know I've got to take the steps of running this office and making it number 1. So when I leave, I can go make my office number 1. What number 1 do you want to be? Do you want to be the number 1 new recruiting manager? Do you want to be the number 1 sales? Do you want to be the number 1 in front row foundations? Do you want to be the number 1 at retaining your reps? Whatever your number 1 is, write that down and have your goals. By the way, everyone close your guys' eyes. What does your summer look like when you're at the top, when you're getting that trophy at end of the year banquet with thousands of people looking at you and your name is being called? Congratulations to the next branch manager, to the next district manager. What does it taste like? What does it smell like? The food is pretty bomb when you're there, so just smelling it. By the way, open your guys' eyes. Are you really dream talking what you really want to take from the summer or from this fall? Every single talk is talked about planning, and the second point on here is planning your time. For me, I overwork myself and I'm a yes man and say yes to everything that is out there. If anyone asks, it's like, yep, I'm here. Yep, I'm here. But I love it. The reason why is because I love to help people out. This point B, your meeting with you is the most important part of your schedule. Who's the most important person in your life? So take the time for you. You want to help everyone out. And if you take time for you, it's like, well, that's taking away time from helping someone else out. You're right. Well, you can't help out everyone if you are the one that's about to die. So take the time for you. For me, it is my once a day or, spending that 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes at night where I'm just hanging out with my dog. I'm not worrying about my phone. I'm not worrying about what's going on in my life. It's just hanging out with my dog, playing fish, or my horse that I have. It's not really a horse. It's just a Great Dane dog. So the more important you plan and the better that you get at your planning, the better that you will be when you open up your own office. How does it feel to manage 50 reps this summer? How does it feel managing 100 reps this summer? How many do you want to have on staff when you get there? By the way, by the end of this, or in the summer, midsummer, we had a total of 147 reps that were happening here in the pilot office. By the way, you want to have a full staff. They're the ones that are going to help you out. You can't do everything by yourself. Do you want to go into the summer with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a full staff when you open up? By the way, just having 2 people on staff to help you get things done increases your chance of being the #1 branch or district office going into it. When you feel overwhelmed, which most of you probably are going into the transition right now of getting back into school, having time for the family, having time for yourself, having time to make sure you go and buy all of your school supplies, well, make a plan for yourself. Just like we all talked about in every single speech is prioritize your life. Put it in. The most important things that have to be done. Yes, my critical 6, I love the sticky note approach as well. And whatever it is, grab your calendar and put it down. I left mine back there, but I literally have the next 3 months planned out. And in Friday, I'm going through with Nick to plan basically everything for this office, what I need to do, what all of our AMs need to do, how many campuses we're going to be on. So really making a plan for yourself. Number 3 is selling Cutco. How many of you guys like to sell Cutco? Yeah. Wow, really? That's it? How many of you guys like to sell Cutco? Yeah, there you go. I love to sell Cutco myself. I am at 32,000 in sales, and I wish I was at a lot more. I probably would be at a lot more if I wasn't in the office 6 days a week, but I still make my time to get out there and sell. By the way, I worked at Watermelon Festival this last Saturday. 200-pound watermelon, guys. Just massive. Yeah. Also, quick tip, if you didn't know, there are 5 types of watermelons in the world. I didn't learn that until when I was there, so it was pretty cool. But just getting to interact with all of the different people. How many of you guys are like, man, I wish I had more people to call? Or I wish I had someone to make the calls for me, or whatever it is. Well, work events. People come to you. All you got to do is just hang out and say, oh, you have Cutco? Awesome. Well, let me upgrade you. You ready to be at your ultimate? You ready to be at your signature? And working with them. So start selling. Get to that 15K so that you're at your events and working events on the part-time weekend. But it also builds your guys' experience. It builds your guys' confidence. How many of you guys want to be, basically graduate from college debt-free? Well, sell during the year. Sell Cutco. Start making those habits now to save. Put $5, $10 away every check. $20 away. $30 away. Whatever that you need to do. But start putting it up. Start saving that money. Just like you saw everyone out here us having $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 even saved. How many of you guys would like to have that right now in your savings? right? So you can do that, but you have to have the disciplines right now to prepare yourself for what is next. You know, for me, I am remodeling my house right now. I had to redo my entire kitchen. I've had to redo my entire bathroom, and I basically had to do the backyard. I had, I think it was $5,500 saved up, and yes, now I'm at 32 or 33, like I said, and that's because I didn't have to go take a loan or have to ask Mom, I needed help buying my house, or I need help redoing my house. No, I could take it for myself. Bailey's Loan Incorporated. Whatever it is for you guys, so you can take money out for yourself just to have that financial freedom. You know, number 4 is you want to prepare and handling the questions for your friends, your guys' peers. I know we're young and it's like, I want to party on the weekends. I want to go do this and that, whatever. You can have time for that later on. You know, right now is preparing yourself to be the best versions of you possible. You know, I can look at it. You know, when I go home, I can literally think all of my friends are like, whoa, you're really running a business at the age of 21? You've really traveled to 5 different places already in a year's time? You're doing all of that? Like, that feels good to know that you're the better of all of your friends and all of your peers. You know, it's funny because I go home and one of my best friends and his dad's always like, man, you need to get on his name's Matthew. He's like, you need to get on Matthew. He ain't doing anything. It's like, well, doesn't want to do anything, you know? So just having that confidence in yourself of what's going to happen. If you guys flip over having it all for the summer, here are some questions that you're going to encounter. And I want you to be prepared for what it is. You know, this is a hard job to explain. You're like, well, I'm going to be a branch manager. Well, what does that mean? I'm getting a lot of money to run an office. Yeah, no, you haven't been through everything it is. So what is branch? A simple answer is it's a summer-only management and leadership program where some of the top students or student reps from one summer get to train and teach other students to sell Cutco next summer. How does that feel to be able to tell that to someone? I am one of the elite people that get to run a branch. The honor of being able to run a branch and say that I can run my own business. I've managed people's schedule, and I've literally was the top in the nation, top in my region, top in my division. That experience for yourself. Well, what does branch or district require for management saving? The company provides $9,000 in advertising support and startup for cash for branches, $20K for a new DM, go DM. They require a saving so that they know that I am committed and responsible. Most young people don't know how to save and handle finances while they're in school. Required saving helps them to know that I'm serious and who is not. The money I save is always mine, and it will always be used for my personal expenses while I'm running the office. They just need to make sure that I'm in a good spot financially so I don't get tempted to use the company's funds for personal expenses like gas, food, or rent while I'm running an office. The company's money is for my business expenses like office rent, internet, and copies. So just having really good questions and really good answers for what questions are going to be told for you. How much will you earn as a branch manager for the summer or a district manager? That depends on how much office sells and how much I sell personally at the end of the summer. It's hard to know exactly what I can. In our average branch sold $60,000 to $70,000 last summer, and the average profit after expenses is around 12%, so about $7,000 to $8,000 earned off of the office. We also have branches earning $10,000 to $20,000 for the summer, and we also have others that just broke even on their office. But what's great is that no matter how much the office sells, the company allows all branch managers to sell personally at straight 50% commissions for 3 months at the end of the summer. So even if a branch just breaks even with their office, they sell $10K and they've personally earned $5,000 profit so far. Logan, how much have you earned so far?
So far.
Yeah, just selling with your 50%. So you've sold a signature, some homemakers, and some pieces, right? All at 50. John, what are you at?
6,500 for August. $3 grand.
Personally selling fixes everything. By the way, there are personal sales fixes everything. There's also a district manager booklet. By the way, yeah, maybe this isn't for you going through as a branch manager, but this gives you some really good information to help prepare you for what you're going to encounter with people asking you questions. And it also tells you how much you can earn and what things are to come. So this fall is all about preparing yourself for what's to come. Are you going to be one that slacks off now and you go into the summer wishing you would have prepared more? Or are you going to be the ones that prepared all throughout the year and you're ready to go rip it up, make a ton of cash, and make a name for yourself, not only into the state, but in the entire nation? So I'll leave you with this. Go be badasses and don't be little bitches. You know, prepare yourself and learn lots that you possibly can. Peace out, guys.
Glad that's on recording. Can't wait for our CEO to see this. This will be so good. Bruce, I'm talking to you, buddy. All right. Well, let's dive into the content. Thank you. Let's give Bailey one clap. 1, 2, 3. Some awesome stuff. While I come up, a couple of things that I want to bring up before we get into teaching. Leadership Academy questionnaires. I need those turned in for sure. So you can pass them up to Riley if they're done. If they're not done, that's your ticket out the door. But I do need that today no matter what. Another thing as a reminder, right, is to get a notebook so you can start to put all this stuff in it. Okay, and one last thing is this guy here. We currently have a really big contest that starts not this week, but next coming Monday. Those of you who are assistant managers, if you don't know about this, talk to your manager. But here's the deal. If you're one of the first 15 assistant managers to sell $6,000 starting on the 21st through the 17th, you have an opportunity to win a guaranteed $250 Dress for Success shopping spree with me as the DVM and your DM. So $6,000 in sales starting on what day? 21st, right? 21st, okay? So that's the last week of the summer and the first 3 weeks of the fall. So as long as you're on AM pay, you're qualified. Now, if you're not on AM pay yet, you do need to get on AM pay before you actually would have those sales count. But talk to your manager. Even if it's a small percentage, that's better than nothing for sure. So let's go ahead and dive in. Thank you very much. I'm very fired up about that message from you, Bailey, and just excited about leveling up all of our businesses. This is going to be fired up. I want you to look around you right now. This is the group of individuals that is about to change thousands of lives. And some of you don't know it yet, but when you run an interview, whether you accept that person or not, you influence their life, right? This is why I'm unapologetic about how we recruit. And so as we go into our recruiting session today, I want to give you a couple of big takeaways and big lessons to learn, all right? Number one, be unapologetic for what we do. Be unapologetic for the way we recruit, okay? I want you to write down something called Vector 100-0. And as leaders, I need you all to make sure that you're putting things in notes and being up to the front with about this. But what is Vector 100-0? Well, Vector 100-0 is something that came out a few years ago when our company was getting a lot of backlash from lack of standards, lack of professionalism. There were some people involved as leaders that really didn't earn the right to be a leader. And unfortunately, right, that wasn't here in this area, but it was all over the nation in some other pockets. And so our company came out with a new principle. And this is something that we live by, and it's called Vector 100-0. What is Vector 100-0? Vector 100-0 is where you take 100% responsibility for everything, and there are zero excuses not to. You should take 100% responsibility for the office and the way it looks. You should take 100% responsibility for the way you treat people, regardless of how they treat you. You should take 100% responsibility of doing your job and letting every young person know that vector marketing is an opportunity for them. It doesn't mean we accept them all, but it is our mission to let everybody know what we do. And I'm very, very upfront about the fact that I am 100% okay with somebody not being interested in what we do. But I am absolutely not okay in people not knowing that we have a job available. And there are way too many young people out there that need Vector. Yes or yes?
Yes.
And we need your help. So this is a call to action. Do not run an interview just because you were asked to. Do not run an interview just because you feel like you've earned it. You're a freaking recruiter for a $250 million sales company. I want to be very upfront about that because veterans, managers currently running your offices, every single person that walks through your door, you're representing a $250 million corporation. It's been number one for 20 years straight. So when it comes to interviewing, right, how do you show up? You got to ask yourself that, right? What do you look like? What do you sound like? Are you a professional showing up to that? Or is there another level that you should be engaged in? This is Vector 100-0. 100% committed, right, to taking full responsibility for everything and 0 excuses not to. My biggest job as a division manager is to protect the brand of Cutco and Vector in my area, right? And you all know my stump speech of what I get paid to do and the 3 big things. But at the end of the day, if you were to ask me, what is my job? It's to protect the reputation of our corporation in every place that I can. And I'm unwilling to let our standards dip below, right? Just because somebody felt like running an interview or somebody didn't feel good that day or whatever it may be. Does that make sense? So in your notes, I want you to write down under Vector 100, earn the right. Earn the right. Just because we have a video interview now does not mean, right, that anybody can just run interviews, okay? I expect standards. I expect professionalism. In our division, you represent me. You represent one another. You represent all of these top-level reps. You represent Hall of Fame people. And you represent the CEO that you're going to meet when you go to Olean. Everybody with me on that? So if you don't take like recruiting seriously, you need to. Because here's the reality. All it takes is one. All it takes is one. Now, that's a pretty beautiful statement when you say all it takes is one sharp recruit. What if the next person that walked through your door for that interview was the next CEO of the corporation? You would never know it. Every single person in our company started in an interview that we run, yes? That's the one thing we all have in common. You never know if you're recruiting the next Marissa Mayer, the next Carlton, the next you, the next me. So take that seriously. Does that make sense? But also, that's a pretty scary statement. All it takes is one. Think about that. All it takes is you showing up to one interview the wrong way with the wrong energy and saying the wrong thing. All it takes is you having one bad experience with an individual, and that person you never know. That person could be the son or daughter of one of the biggest companies in Oklahoma. And then it gets back to their parents, and then their parents post out there. I have a neighbor, by the way. He's a freaking realtor mogul. He lives right next to me. He's got 30 realtors under him. He started 3 different tours out in Iraq. And this guy bought a beautiful, brand new, loaded, like fully big F-250, right? And he bought it with a lift kit and everything from Joe Cooper. And they told him all these things and promises. And then he had an issue with the lift kit only a few months later. He brought it in. It took him a total of over 5 weeks to even get back to him. And then they took away his loaner that they said they were giving him for free. And then they said, sorry, it's your problem. It's with the lift kit, not us. He had such a bad experience. I'm not going to go into all the details with Joe Cooper. He's a real estate mogul. He went out there and posted on social media, and he littered social media with it. Over 200,000 people have viewed it, and over 100,000 people have shared it throughout the state of Oklahoma. I don't want to be Joe Cooper Automotive right now. And by the way, this guy knows people. This guy has money. Because why? Because one customer wasn't happy. Does that make sense? We don't want to be Joe Cooper. We don't want that at all. And you know what? The people that we deal with are a lot more likely to do something like that on social media than people that are in their mid-30s, their mid-40s, and their mid-50s. Can we agree? So Vector 100. No matter what, I want it to be a standard that when people show up to an interview, whether they're interested or not, they see the true reputation of Vector Marketing and what we stand for. Fair enough? All right. So I want to come across really upfront with that because we've got to make a commitment to not lowering our standards, right? And having everybody commit to the things that we do. All right. So let's dive into the interview. I'm fired up to teach you this. I'm going to work very briefly on the pre-screen. Then Claire's going to work on the post-screen. We might run out of time with a little bit of role playing, but I'm cool with that because you guys will have that as your first assignment leaving Leadership Academy. Sound good? So just so I know, and Claire knows, raise your hand if you have run an interview before for Vector, even if it was only one. All right, awesome. Raise your hand if you've never run an interview, if you have yet to run an interview. Okay, cool. So we've got a good group, and we're kind of 50-50. Those of you who have run interviews, this is your opportunity to enhance your show to training, to enhance your confidence, right, and your ability to do it. And if you're not running interviews, I encourage you before you leave Vector to at least try to run one interview, right, as long as you're qualified and you're in the right. Because you know what? Interviewing and recruiting skills are some of the best that you can possibly have as we move for the future. All right, so let's dive into the pre-screen. You should have out a few documents right now that we gave you earlier. So if you want to bust those out, one of them, okay, has to do with the actual video Vector interview. It looks like this. Another one of them has to do with the application. This is the application that people fill out when they show up to an interview. Cool? All right, make sure that it's fully filled out. This is what we go through. This is what we check. And then the third thing is something related with the free Cutco peeler and the acceptance to training times and things like that. So here we go. It says vector video interview. Real quick, I'm going to go through this. Right? It says the setup. We need to have clipboards and applications, position descriptions, and pens or pencils, right? All prepared. Okay. Also, we should have the interview assessment sheets printed for the video portion. We'll show you that later. And then at the bottom, it says post-screen materials, acceptance letters, info packets, skills for life, names, list, activity. Okay. Welcome, firm handshake. How are people greeted? Who's ever heard this? First impressions are what? Everything. The first 90 seconds of an interaction with a human being has a lot to do with how that future relationship goes. So if they walk into an awkward door, if they walk into no music, if they walk into nobody greeting them with a smile and a handshake, it's already awkward enough to show up to an interview, yes? So why would we do anything to make it more awkward? Okay, signage. Show if you're down a hallway, how do you get to that place, right? Okay, what does your office smell like? What does your office look like? What does it sound like? All the senses, right? These need to be on point. I love Threshold. It's a brand new gym. And when you walk in, they actually have incense burning right by the door, right? So you walk in, you're like, man, I feel like climbing, right? I don't know. I think that's the scent that they have on file there or something, but you're just ready to rock, right? It's pretty cool. So we need the recruiting scent for us, right? I feel like getting accepted, you know, whatever that may be, okay? Next thing it says, right? We gotta have a quick conversation. Hey, welcome. And always do this, palm up with shaking their hand. This shows a position of dominance with physiology. This shows a position of, hey, I'm open, right? You ever notice that? Like in sign language, open to this, right? Or hey, let me help you, right? Or things like that. So again, dominating, right? I'm open. So when you share something, you show up to somebody, it's a lot to do with physiology. And you always introduce yourself first. Hey, what's your name? That's intimidating, right? Instead, showing up and saying, hey, my name's Nick. Welcome. You here for an interview? Great. What's your name? Awesome. Come on with me. Let me get you all set up. Major difference. Or here's one of the best lines. How are you? Hey, you here for an interview? Awesome. My name's Nick. What's your name? Great. How are you? Cool. Much different energy there, yes? So pay attention to your tone. Pay attention to your speech. Pay attention to your physiology, your appearance, okay? Some of you are like AMs and you're like, oh, it's not my day in the office, so I'm in my T-shirt and gym shorts. Are you kidding me? You should not be second manning an interview. If that's the first person I meet walking into a multi-million-dollar corporation, no wonder we get bad things posted out there online, right? So be aware. Make sense? All right, cool. Let's look at the next thing on here. It says go ahead and fill out this quick application. When you're done with that, I'll have you read over the second document, the position description, before taking you back for initial pre-screen, right? One of the things we could get a lot better at is always having a second person in the office for every interview. And if we do that, man, it makes it so much smoother for both the person who's running the interview, right, and for the applicant, okay? Below that, it says pre-screening. And you pull them back. This is a pre-screening interview. If everything goes well, I'll have you stay for the main portion, which begins shortly after. I'll even tell them, hey, it's a quick 19-minute video that we're going to play you, and it's pretty simple, all right? What should we be doing in the pre-interview? And you can write this off to the side of your vector interview packet or whatever. Well, here's a few things that come to mind. When I run an interview, number one, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to create comfort. Number one thing, I'm trying to create comfort. I'm trying to create a comfortable environment. I'm trying to make them relax a little bit, right? Okay, the second thing I'm trying to do, build a relationship. All about relationships. Business is what? Relationships. If they don't trust you as a recruiter, they're not going to want to come to training. And if you think just the video is what gets the show, you're wrong, right? The video actually has a very small percentage of the reason why somebody shows. The reason why somebody shows has a lot to do with who interviews them, with the relationship that they build, right? And what kind of things are told to them. And Claire will hit on that later, okay? There's a bunch of questions on here. Do you need to ask all the questions? No, but you should select from some, and you should use their application to guide you, okay? So if you look over the application, all of the things are on here, right? Use this as a guide. Look through it and say, okay, well, name, phone number, right? Get to know them. Where did they go to school? Name drop. That's a big one, right? If you have people from those schools in the past, know your schools, know your territory. This is all critical stuff. Okay, what hobbies do you like to do? A lot of applicants, because they're young and they're nervous, they will leave things blank. If that's okay, ask them those questions. But not in like a judgmental way, right? John, you left your hobbies blank. Do you not have any hobbies? Okay, what hobbies do you like? That's not good, right? But if they left it blank, just say, cool, so what do you like to do for fun? That could be one of the questions, right? And you're filling that in. If they're not putting down their college yet, that happens a lot right now because they're not in college yet. They're about to go, but they haven't had any. Hey, you planning on going to school, right? What's your dream job? Questions that I also like to ask are questions like, hey, what are 2 things you're looking for in a job other than money? right? If you were to describe yourself when it comes to work or dealing with people with one word, what would that be? Right? Specific questions, okay? So again, you're going to get to know them a little bit better, right? Make a connection, okay? Build a relationship, make it comfortable, okay? And then quick bio, right? Or quick overview of the company, and then accept them for the main interview. Cool? So let's go through some of those things. Brief job description. It says, have you had a chance to read through the position description? They should say yes. Cool. Well, basically what our reps do is work with customers, show them our products, answer their questions, and help them place orders. Our product's called Cutco. Have you heard of it before?
Yes.
Now, some of you, when you ask that question, it's like, our product's called Cutco. Do you know what that is? Like you're worried that they know, oh, yeah, is that knife thing? Right? Our product's called Cutco. Have you heard of it before? Yeah. But if you ask it that way, it's a much different tone, right? So, hey, have you heard of it before? Yeah. Oh, cool. Where'd you hear about us? Or if they say no, say cool. Do you like to cook? Great. Right? There's a follow-up question, right? But the whole reality here is just making them feel comfortable with that, okay? So the next thing you say, cool, it's awesome kitchen stuff for our reps. Awesome kitchen stuff, and our reps and customers love them. Do you feel comfortable about working with people? Do you feel comfortable about working with people one-on-one? If they came to the interview, the answer is probably yes, right? And then you say, great. Well, and you can look over their application. I'm going to have you stay for the main portion of the interview. It's a 19-minute video, so you can write that in there if you want, that just so they know about how much time, right? And then you say, we'll go ahead and go through the position details, and if you're accepted, you'll know exactly what you'd be doing. At the end, I should be able to give you a definite yes or no. Go ahead and keep the position description. Use the back for notes and questions. There's several people here for the interview. I'm not looking for a specific number of people, so you're interviewing against yourself, not anyone else. Very nice to meet you. Another friendly handshake, eye contact. Walk them out the door. I'll have you sit in here. Feel free to socialize and get to know other people, and we'll get started shortly. Everybody good on that? Okay, and then send them back out there. And I'll tell you that this is a time of year where you can do a one-on-one interview with everybody and still have time before you start the pros or the group interview. Cool? So before I bring Claire up here, a couple last things that I want to remind everybody of. Okay? When you're doing the Vector interview, it's all about making them feel comfortable. It's all about building a relationship, okay? And it's all about making sure they're qualified. I forgot to tell you the third thing, so please write down they need to be what? Qualified. What does qualified mean? Qualified, well, here's the deal, right? Let's talk about some things that could come up, right? Qualified, number one, they need to be, right, 17 and graduated from high school, or, right, they need to be 18. Now, if they're 18 and in high school, doesn't matter as long as they're how old? 18. So 17 and graduated, or they need to be 18. Cool? Now, if they're 18 and they haven't finished school yet, so what? They can still be on the team. If they're 18 and never got a degree, so what? They can still be on the team, okay? So that's really the only thing that disqualifies somebody is the age. Everybody good on that? Now, realize that as we go into the freshman year of college, a lot of students have never heard of Vector before, and they're going to be hearing about it on college campuses, coming in, checking it out, and we want to make sure that they have a really positive outlook on our corporation and our brand, even if they're not interested, right? Because remember, all it takes is what? One. So again, comfort, okay, relationship, and making sure that they're qualified. Now let's talk about the felony thing. It is illegal to ask somebody what their felony was, okay? However, it is totally fine for you to just ask a, info-seeking question. So if you look on the application, is marked, have you ever been convicted of a felony? If that's marked yes, okay, don't look at them and be like, what'd you do? Right? Like, that's not a good way to handle that, right? But if they've been convicted of a felony, okay, you would just go through the normal pre, and before you'd invite them back, just say, cool, thanks for the honesty. I noticed that you marked down that you've been convicted of a felony. And sometimes they actually just circled yes because they were just nervous. And they're like, oh, no, I'm really sorry about that. And it's like, all right, yeah, I'll change it for you, right? But if they've said yes, they'll actually typically tell you what it's all about. And you know what's funny about it is most of the time it's for something that's nonviolent. And that's what I like to say. I like to say, hey, is it anything like, hey, I noticed that you're convicted of felony. Is it anything that would endanger the lives of my people? Okay. Is this something that you're past? Is it going to happen again? Okay. Well, I'm a firm believer in second chances. And a lot of times when you ask even just one question about it, they'll be like, no, man, I dealt some drugs when I was young, stupid decision. But I'm over my probation and it won't happen again. Well, cool. I'm a firm believer in second chances. I can't guarantee you a position, but I can definitely accept you back to the group. Cool. What would be some other reasons I'd post somebody out? Oh, if that person just didn't have the right odor, right? Sometimes people come in like really smelling bad. And I'm like, do I want to sit through 2 days of training with this person? The answer is probably what? No. Okay. Okay, if this person doesn't speak English, right? They're like, or they don't have a visa, they can't actually work off campus. Okay, that would be another thing that would be hey, it's probably not good, right? So how do you pre somebody out? Well, instead of saying invite to stay for group interview, it's very simple. Just say, great. Well, currently we're accepting applications. I'll hold on to this and cover it with my higher up manager. If you don't hear back from us by Friday, I'd continue to seek employment elsewhere. Does that make sense, guys? It's very simple. Hey, well, thanks so much for coming in today. Currently, we're just accepting applications, right? And so I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to talk to my higher up manager. And if you don't hear from us by Friday, then I continue seeking other employment opportunities. Cool. Do you have any last minute questions? Awesome. And then don't be afraid to hand them like one of the packets, right, that has the info vector. Say, great, here you go. And we'll be in touch, right? And then leave it at that. And then what I love about that is that doesn't demand or require that you follow back up with them. You would just say, hey, if you don't hear from us by Friday, then I would consider seeking employment opportunities elsewhere. Everybody good on that? Yes? All right, perfect. So I know there's a question from Bailey in the back. What was the question you had?
Also, we had a rep that you have a felony you're going through, so just make sure you ask them, say, hey, are you able to handle sharp objects as well? Because sometimes they're not allowed to because a sharp object is a weapon.
Sure. Yeah, you just never know. And just so you guys know, like, it's a 1099 job at the end, right? I don't want you to feel like you're like, sitting in a room with a bunch of convicted felons. Some of you are looking around, you're like, dude, do you have a felony? I don't know. Right? Like, that's not the goal right now. But realize this, I'm not going to name any names, but I've developed 2 representatives that have past backgrounds, right, and felonies, okay, they've been convicted of, and they've both sold over $100,000, and those are people that I recruited, I trained, and I developed. And you know why? Because at that point, there's very few opportunities you can get for work. Does that make sense? There's very few. And I'll tell you this, the job like this, they love it because they are surrounded by positive people. And once you've had a felony, it's tough to find positive people. Does that make sense? So understand, my philosophy is give people the benefit of the doubt. You just never know. And my role is I'll accept them back for the group interview as long as they are qualified of age, right? And they are, somebody that I could at least consider for the job. And then a lot of times if they're really nervous or really shy or really quiet, watch what happens when they go through the group interview. Everything changes, right? And then by the end, it's like, cool, how do you feel about the opportunity? Oh my gosh, so much better than I thought it was. In fact, I came in, I didn't even really know what it was. Some people will even say, I thought I was applying at like Dairy Queen. It's like, well, okay, weird, right? But like whatever. And then they come through our program and they love it. And then watch what happens in their future. Yeah.
Back to the age thing. What is like too old?
Too old? There isn't too old.
There isn't?
Nope, for sure. Now, if they are a lot older, a lot of times I'll give them a little bit more job description. Like I'll talk to them about how we pay. I'll talk to them a little bit about the base pay and things like that. That would be something that if you watch like Claire, on the manager run, you'll be able to learn a lot about. But I'll mention like, hey, our average applicant's probably 18 to 25. No problem with being a little bit older, but that's the normal group of people that we work with here. Is that something you'd be comfortable with? Okay, great. Well, let me have you stick around and we can go from there. So yeah, but you definitely can't not hire somebody just because of their age or anything. So,
right.
Yep. Yeah, good question. All right, good. So if you flip forward again, the next page, right, has to do with the group interview. We're going to save that for another Leadership Academy. But I love the group interview. A strong opening. You play the video. It's 19 minutes long. You do a little bit of a stump speech and goal sharing at the end, and then you have them fill out a sheet of paper, and then we're into the post, right? A couple of things for those of you who are running offices. You'll notice that before that, you've actually got with the group interview, you've got the wrap up, and there's a few other things that are included. Actually, I don't know if we got the right one, but whatever. We'll get you the packet. But you definitely want to do a little of a product demo, and you want to do some other things too. Claire's going to come up, and anything she's got, she's going to talk about when it comes to the pre-interview. Then she's going to discuss the post with you guys. Then we'll use any additional time to role play. Any last-minute questions on the pre? Okay, one more thing that I want to add when it comes to this, guys. Claire is the absolute best when it comes to getting people to show. In fact, she has a higher show percentage this summer than I do, and I'm a 13-year veteran. Recently, she's had weeks where she's had over 80% of the people she's interviewed show up to training. Okay? We just had a $27,000 week, and the majority of the reps that have been going through our training and launching have been people she's interviewed. She's better than I am at the post. So please take note of this, right? Listen to everything she's got. She's more than qualified to be able to deliver this message. And I can't wait to see what those show percentages can do when she runs her own branch or district. So let's give her a round of applause coming up. Yeah, don't rush it. And we can just eat up the
All right. So a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna be giving you guys are things that I've learned working a lot with Nick, and then working with like Drew Frank and a couple other managers. So this stuff I didn't just make up. I learned it from the best of the best. So for the first thing that I just want to go over, the post, in my opinion, is probably the most important part of your interview based off show percentages, because this is what's really going to set the tone for them considering actually coming to the training. Like, I almost didn't even come to training 2 years ago, but my brother kind of dragged me to training. So for a lot of these people, they don't have someone that's bringing them to the training, so they really need to be able to trust you and what you're telling them. So the first part, if you guys go to this part on the interview packet, questions. So I'm going to talk a lot about body language because I think it's really interesting with the way that you carry yourself and the way that the applicants carry themselves. And I'm going to give you guys a few talks that you guys can look up on Vector Connect and TED Talk, because I've like studied interviews and body language so much where I really think that it just affects everything in your interview. And I really think this is what's helped me with my percentages and why they've done so well this summer. So the first few things is be yourself. Don't be fake, because people can totally read through that. So I'm 100% myself and laid back. That's just my personality. So if you're a super bubbly person, be bubbly. You don't have to be afraid to just be normal around them and be comfortable. You're the one that's in the powerful position and they're the ones that are nervous. So if you're just comfortable and make them feel comfortable, where you're really just genuinely creating a relationship with them, that's going to make all the difference in the world. Just think about when you're in demos and you're talking to Mrs. Jones, that's what you're wanting to do. So with the post interview, they've already gone through, they have all the details. You're going to see a change from like when you did the pre, they're all tense and nervous, to where you're into the post, they're going to be so much more calm. Some of them even lean back in their chair and they're smiling and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. That's what you want. And so first thing that it says on here, all these little bullet points or all these questions, the first thing that it says is, do you have any other questions for me? Ask that, because right away, for a lot of the smart people that you're interviewing, they're going to ask you several questions just to kind of build off of what they saw in the video for the interview. I love when people ask me questions, because I know that that's going to go into them actually coming to the training. You can tell if someone's not going to show to training just by the way that they carry themselves. So if you don't give them the opportunity to ask you questions, that's just going to go unknown for them, and they're a little bit nervous still. So they're going to be afraid to like go straight up and ask you questions. So you have to allow them and open up the door for that. Like for a Sharpie applicant, I would rather spend 5 to 10 more minutes with them in the post than like getting all nervous, and rushing it just to meet with all the other applicants that are waiting. They can wait. No one cares. But I want to spend the time to make sure that this 3-star is going to show up to training. Other questions is, what do you like about Vector? That's on there. And then who would you show first? So just based off the interview, video, and everything that we just saw, who would you start out showing Cutco to? Because you want to get them to start thinking about who they're going to talk to and envision themselves in the appointments, which just goes into them showing and having a good show. I always paint the picture for them and give them ideas on people that they can add to their list. I give them personal stories. My brother did Cutco for 2 years before I started, so I had like no one to meet with when I first started. So I totally get, if you're kind of nervous about who you're going to show, or if you feel like you don't have that many people, I can totally help you with that. And then I just spit out like 10 different ideas on adding names to the list and being a little bit creative. Sometimes they forget about like the virtual demo, and so being like, yeah, people out of state, your friends from school, all of that. So a few things on body language. Like I was saying, I'm just a little bit in the pre, I'm more professional and like sitting up in my chair. In the post, I'm a little bit more relaxed and I lay kind of lean back in my chair. It sounds like a really weird small detail to do, but it totally helps. There's a few on talks on this. So the first one, Kina Feldstein, she was a past Vector manager. If you go on, write this down in your notes because this talk is fire. I sent this out like 6 months ago in the Leadership Academy group me, and I've listened to it like 3 or 4 times because I think it's so interesting. So it's called The Psychology of Recruiting. If you just search that in the video library on Vector Connect, you'll find it. It's Kina Feldstein. Her name's spelled Quina. Psychology of Recruiting. So she takes a lot of points from another TED Talk, which I ended up finding. And this TED Talk is called, Body Language by Amy Cuddy. So AMYCUDDY. So Kina uses a lot of the points that Amy uses in her TED Talk. Super cool stuff. I would just go watch it and you know what I'm talking about, but there's just small little things like before interviews. Really weird, but like I stand against the wall and like do a power stance for 2 minutes before interviews because it creates like some different electrons in your brain start to move, and so you're more confident and you come across more in the management position that you want applicants to view you in. That's just a side note. So throughout the post, from some things that I add into my interview, and I think I was talking to Tyler about this a couple weeks ago, but I use a lot of analogies because I love analogies and people love analogies too. So if you're just really just kind of getting their creative side to start imaging all these things, they're going to really see it and get the bigger picture. So one analogy that I use, and you can word it differently, but I do an analogy, the sleazy salesman versus honest salesman. So a lot of people our age, like young people, their one objection is like, I don't like sales, or, I don't want to be pushy. That's the one thing I always get when I ask them, do you have any questions for me in the post? They're like, I just don't know if sales is for me. And I'm like, yeah, so what are some of your concerns about sales? They're like, well, I just don't want to be pushy and talk to my family members. Boom. All right, so this is how you handle that objection. So first thing about Cutco, what do a lot of people love about Cutco? Super low pressure. You don't have to pressure your friend's family. You get paid for it anyway. So I use this analogy to kind of help them see this a little bit more. So I tell them, I'm like, you could be selling the best product in the world. They don't know Cutco is the best product in the world. So I can say, like, a familiar product like BMW, and I point to the picture on the wall that's in the interview room. So you could be a BMW salesman, or let's say that you're the customer, and you go to a car dealership, you're looking to buy a BMW, and there's a salesman there, and he's just doesn't seem like he's being honest with you. He's just trying to sell you the product just to get the commission. You're probably not going to want to buy from him, right? But then if you go into the dealership and there's this awesome salesman and he's just building a lot of rapport with you and he's super cool and you trust him, you're probably going to buy it, right? That's what we teach our reps to do here with Cutco, because we would rather build the relationship with customers than just get the sale. We want to have that customer loyalty. So creating analogies like that. And then WIFT. So what's in it for them? So Nick said earlier, what's in it for me? What's in it for them? So like a lot of young people just don't really understand like how much Vector can help them. They should, and when we go over in the next Leadership Academy, the stump speech, you'll learn how to really tie them into the goals and how they're going to do well. But in the post, this is really important to individualize it for each person you're talking to. So in your acceptance speech, which are all of these on the back, all of how to accept an applicant, I would look over this. I'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute. But you want to tie their personality strengths into how it's going to help them with their success here. So when Nick was saying on the application, when you're doing the pre, you want to write down the things that's going to help them do well here, what their personality strengths are. That's what those points are for the post. So it's important to make them feel confident in coming to training. So there's a few things that I'm going to give you like a couple examples. when you're accepting an applicant, everyone has different strengths. Some people have a great personality. They're super relational. Some people are huge athletes. Some people, there's all different kinds of things. So, there's been a few times I've heard some managers before when they're practicing their interview and they're doing the posts and they're accepting applicants. They've said things like, "You would do well here because you have a great personality. Welcome to the team." Like, if you're putting yourself in their shoes and someone that was interviewing you said that, what would you do? You'd probably just be like, "Okay, I would do well because I have a good personality. Thanks." And then you go home and you're talking to your parents. They're like, "Yeah, like, why do you think you're going to do well there?" "Well, I mean, the interview guy said I have a good personality, so I'm going to do good." What? So here's how you can build off that. If someone has a great personality, yeah, they would do great at Cutco, but why? So building off of that. So you have a really outgoing personality, and you told me you love working with people, Ayane. Just imagine in your demos when you're talking to customers, they'll feel super comfortable with you. We just met an hour ago, and it's like we're friends. So just imagine that in your demos when you're showing the product, and they're going to trust you, and they're going to buy a lot from you. Connecting that. That's why they have a great personality. That's why they're going to do well with Cutco. And you could, like, all of this doesn't just, like, come like that. But when you're practicing this, it gets a lot better. So with the acceptance speeches, memorize these. I remember I sat down with my manager, Jake Bergman. He's in the interview video when you're watching it. He's the blonde guy. I remember him practicing the interview with me when I first started doing interviews. I was so nervous, like butchered a couple interviews. This is when we didn't even have the video. So it was all just talking and so nervous. So what he would have me do, because he knew I'm kind of introverted, so I have to really have a plan on what I'm going to say before I say it. And Jake would just sit down with me and he'd be like, "Interview me." And I would be like, "What?" "Just go ahead, interview me." And I was like, "This is so stupid. Why are you making me do this?" And then he would have me do the acceptance speeches. Like, "Hey, how would you accept an applicant?" And be like, "Well, Jake, I think that you would do well here because you're an athlete." Like, and he would try to have me like memorize it. At that time, I was like, "This is dumb. Like, this isn't going to help me at all." But now it's like been paying off throughout just doing this over and over. And so for months, Jake would sit down with me, be like, "Practice it. This is what you guys should be doing with your interviews, because you're not, like, your show percent isn't going to increase or be that good if you're not practicing it." It's just like in your demos. What do you do in training in like every single team meeting? Always role playing. So if you're putting in the extra work to really master it, everyone's going to have like a 50-60% show to training. But if you're not, your show is going to be like 20-30%. So that's why it's important to do those things. Some one-liners, and this is what I've learned a lot from like Drew and Jake, some really fun stuff that I think if I heard someone that was interviewing me did this to me, I would really appreciate how they were accepting me, I guess. So a few of these ones that you can write down. "I don't want to sound like a stereotypical recruiter, but you're an athlete. My best reps are athletes because of this reason, this reason, this reason. Because they know how to work hard, handle adversity. They don't give up or back down. When they do have challenges, they don't just go stand in the corner and cry about it. I know you're like that because you've been coached for years and you understand how to be coached. That's why you would kill it here." Like, if you had those acceptance speeches memorized and then add in some of those one-liners, it's just a lot more powerful. "I don't think that you'd do good here. I think you'd do great here because of this reason, this reason, this reason." So you kind of scare them a little bit for a minute. They're like, "I want to do good here." And then they hear you say, "You would do great here." You're like, wow. I don't know who I've interviewed in here, but I've said that to a few people. And I remember us laughing about it a few weeks later after they went through training. So for PRs, so it's like one thing I don't like to do in interviews when I'm interviewing personal recruits is to say, "Congratulations, welcome to the team." Because they were just coming in to check it out. They weren't coming in for an interview. So it's like what I say for PRs is, So if you're in, I'm in. Are you in? After I do all of the acceptance speech and everything. And it kind of gives them the choice. Obviously, if you just did everything before, they're going to say, yeah, what are the training times? Every time. But if you don't do any of the stuff before, it would just seem really weird. So you have to follow this whole script as you're going through. And then obviously for like web people and people that applied, congratulations, welcome to the team, and you shake their hand. And then when they go home, when their parents ask them, so how was it? They're going to say, Mom, I'm going to do so great at this job because like I've been playing sports all my life, and the way that Vector manages reps is really just like a coaching style. And the manager was telling me I know how to handle adversity and this reason. Versus, I have good personality, Mom, that's why. Like, opposites. And now there's firming up. So there's been a couple people over the past few, actually it was like a while ago, like a month ago, where they would come in on Saturday and be like, I'm here for training, and they weren't there the day before. So this is what's so important. Like, you have to make it super clear, like crystal clear. Training is 2 days. So training is going to be on Friday from 1:30 to 8:30, and then you're going to come back on Saturday 9 to 4. Does that work for you? They're like, yeah, I think. Are you 100% sure? You can just actually go ahead and pull your cell phone out. Let's check your work schedule and your school schedule. Like, are you making it that clear to them and firming it up where there's no excuse? Because a lot of, like, think about you when your friends are like, hey, can you go hang out? Hey, can we hang out on Friday at 5? You're like, yeah, I think. Then you check your schedule and you have work. Like, how many times have you done that before? I do it all the time. But if your friend was like, no, like, just check your work schedule really quick. I really want to hang out. Then you check it, and then you can be like, yeah, I do have work. So just treat it like that. People are just ditzy and spacey. That's just how people are. It's human nature. And then, like, asking them questions like, are there any conflicts with the times? School starting, like, tomorrow and on Thursday. Everyone's going back to school for the high schoolers. So we changed the training times to start at, like, 1:30. That way they don't miss much class. So don't be afraid to ask them, like, can your parents call you out of class? Do it, because their parents will. If they really feel confident in why they're going to do well here, their parents are 100% going to call them out of class. We can type up, like, if you're the manager of the office, you can type up a letter to excuse them from class too, so they have their parents and a letter from the company that they're coming into training to benefit their success in the future and build their resume, you know? So little things like that. And then you go over, I don't have one of the sheets of the acceptance sheets, but let's pretend this is it. So you have, like, all of the reminders on it. So bring a lunch and a snack, dress business casual, like, be writing on it and starring the things that are important. So, like, I circle the side that says bring a lunch and a snack, bring food to cut up, and then bring your brainstorm list. And then I really hit on that. So this is the most important part because I don't have that much time left. So for the brainstorm list, like, how much importance are you putting on that? This is one line I heard from Nick when I watched a few of his interviews. This is the most vital thing that will go into your success here when you're talking about the brainstorm list. Like, make it that important. If they come in with 5 names or not, they're not going to do that well. Like, you have to help show them why they need to come in with the whole sheet filled out. So I've been starting to say this, and they kind of laugh, but I'm like, just think about every person that you write down. That's $15. So if you put down 30, do you know how much money that is? Yeah, put down 30. You know what? Actually, there's this competition. You said you're competitive, right? All right, well, there's this competition. So if you come in with 50 names, and I, like, circle of 50 so they remember, then you're going to win a free veg peeler. What do you tell Mrs. Jones when you're selling her a veg peeler? Well, it peels in both directions. The blade comes out for easy cleaning. It's dishwasher safe. And the grip, dude, if your hand's wet, it's not going to slip out. Don't you hate when your mom asks you to, like, peel the potatoes on Thanksgiving? Most annoying thing. This makes it so easy. You can peel a potato in, like, 20 seconds. Quick. how fast do you think these sell when you're in your demos? And they're like, pretty fast. You're like, yeah, wouldn't it be nice to have your own? You're like, yeah. Like, so you want this veggie peeler? Get 50. How confident do you feel like that you could do that? And they're like, oh yeah, 100%. For some of the like 1-stars, they're like, I could probably get 5 names. You're like, great. So I'm gonna push you a little bit. So what we do here is push you a little bit out of your comfort zone. How do you feel about getting 10? Come in with a minimum of 10. And then the last part is explaining to them their PRs. Just saying, you know, if your friends ask you about the text that they're gonna get, just tell them check it out. It's a little hard to explain a job over text or just even over the phone. So just tell them to come in, check it out, and we'll, you know, inform them about all of the information on the position. And then the final steps is give them the training timesheet, give them that parent handout, the little like whatever it's called, booklet thing, and then give them the peeler sheet. Like, don't forget to give them that. Write the training time on top of their application. Don't forget to do that. And then for the 3 stars and just PRs in general, have the second person that's helping with the interview, take them into the training room and show them all of the paychecks and show them where the training room is. Help them like be introduced to all the other managers and reps that are around. And your show percent, it's going to go from whatever it's at now to being like 40, 50, 60%. That's all I have for you guys.
I am glad that was on recording. That is awesome. Who veterans? Did we get some nuggets? Yes.
Yeah.
Newbies. We feel a little bit more confident running an interview. By the way, recruiting skills are some of the best that you can have. In your notes, go ahead and bust those out. We're going to give you assignments as we wrap things up for today. Things that you need to be looking at and assignments you need to be working on. By the way, loved a lot of those tips about the post. And I'll tell you, the best way to learn is go and watch, right? A really good way to look at it. And here's the deal. Fastest growing division of the company, yes. But one thing you'll learn very quickly in this business as a manager, that as goes recruiting, as goes sales, right? And so you got to understand that as a manager, you're actually selling an opportunity, not a product, right? As a rep, you're selling yourself, you're selling, right, a product. But as a manager, you're selling yourself and you're selling your opportunity. And so how well you do has 100% to do with how many people you can attract, right? And a bigger army always beats a smaller army. So it's all about recruiting skills. It's all about understanding how to get the right people on the team, get them bought into your vision, and get them on board. And I'll tell you this, if we can get our division show percentage even up a couple % every year, that's a lot more people, yes? And a lot of the branch managers and districts will tell you that when you open your own office, your show naturally goes up because it's yours now. You own it. But again, it's just one of those things you look at. So I think about, next summer, what can we get to as a show percentage as an office? Right? Or sorry, it's a division, right? And who will be the #1 office when it comes to show percentage? Who will be the #1 manager when it comes to show percentage, right? And I think we've got our competition set pretty high with Claire being in the running for that. So anyway, pretty exciting. Good. Well, I hope that you learned a lot. Unfortunately, we will not have any time to go ahead and do our role playing. We did about 15 minutes of role play, but I do want you to write down your assignments from Leadership Academy #1. By the way, #1 assignment is sign up for what? Olean, right? If you haven't done that yet, let's get it done. If you don't do it, okay, then assignment #2 is you need to set up a call with Nick. I'm going to be doing a lot of GroupMe activity. I'll be posting a link. Okay, this week I'm meeting with all the DMs. We're going over what we call a CAP, campaign advertising plan, to figure out what they're looking to accomplish and how they're going to get it done for the fall. Those of you who will open up new offices next year, right around March or April, you'll all have a CAP for planning out the summer with me, right? But right now I'm working with them, which means next week is where I'm going to have all of my different call times. I will post them on GroupMe. First come, first serve, sign up, right? There'll be 20-minute laser calls, and we'll get things going. Cool? And don't forget, if I have not received this guy, your questionnaire, that's your ticket out the door. Next assignment that you can jot down that's important, okay, is you need to make sure, and when you get that call with me, just be clear, I'm going to ask you, have you signed up for what? And if the answer is no, I'm going to ask you why not. And then we're going to waste a lot of our time on the call with me trying to sell you on something you should already be sold on, okay? And here's the deal. Like, I know some of you, I know all of you in here, but there are a few of you in here that I know are like, you're 100% Vince team. They're like, bro, I don't even know. You're going to Olean. You're going to Olean. You need to go to Olean. Whatever it takes, go to what? Olean. Why would you not? It's like the freaking Cuckoo Mecca. Please, like, do yourself a favor, okay? And literally, no pressure. Go to Olean, and you can even look at me in Olean and say, I ain't running an office. I will say, so glad you're here. Does that sound good? All right, like 100%. So don't feel uncomfortable about that. All right, cool. Last few assignments you need to write down. Okay, is the first one. You need to start reading. Start reading. I got a book for you to start reading. The book is called The 1 Minute Manager.
Oh yeah.
The book is called The 1 Minute Manager. You need to learn how to 1 minute manage yourself and others. It's by Ken Blanchard. So please write down. We'll start reading The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. And again, the faster you can move through all of these books, the better. But that is certainly a very important part of it. Last couple assignments, all right? You need to, right, watch an interview, at least one. And those of you who are veterans, I would watch an interview for somebody you have not watched an interview from in the past. Highly recommend that, okay? Watch everything, the pre, the group, the post, right? Make sure you watch an interview. And the last assignment is you need to film your pre-screen and your post-screen. Now, this could be an actual interview, or this could be just role-playing an interview. It doesn't matter, but I want you to practice. I want you to get some repetition in there, right? And I want you to video it yourself, all right? Now, here's the deal. If you can't video yourself, at least audio yourself, right? But once you video yourself, there's something called a feedback loop. And when you watch yourself do something, you learn so much quicker, right? Raise your hand if you'd love to never worry about running out of leads again in this business. Anybody want that? Okay, here's a tip. And I know we got some of our other people back in. I'm going to highly recommend that you record yourself reading the recommendation script, and then play it back to yourself over and over and over and over again until you memorize it. Really simple. And now you have it down. And 1 page, right, could mean that you never have to worry about money for years to come. Fair enough? All right, sweet. So thank you. Congrats on our first Leadership Academy. I'm going to turn off the recording before we're out of here. And give yourselves a round of applause for knocking that out. Great job.